Good morning, everybody. I think it's the magical hour of 10 o'clock. You stopped, so it gave me a clue. My name is Nancy Hughes, and I have the opportunity to be MC this morning for Ann, who is out of town. So I want to welcome everybody here. I want to welcome everybody online. Thank you for coming today. It's a gorgeous day, and everybody could be tempted to go out and do something for sure out at the lake or something later on this afternoon. We have a lot going on, and I'm going to read primarily here because I don't know exactly what it all is. Our speaker today is Nina Kunze, and Nina is going to be talking about the evolution of unity. You've been here for a number of years, haven't you, girl? Yeah, that's cool. All right. Kamina is going to be doing our reading this morning, and then we have our musician, Elle. Yeah. Apologize for that. All right. Let's get going with announcements. Everybody got a bulletin, and the announcements are we are having our next youth and family ministry Friday night on June 17th, and that's at 6 o'clock in the backyard here at Unity. So you're welcome to come. We'd love for everybody to participate that possibly can. Heart Talks, the one that Dennis Gibson has been doing, is not meeting during the summer, but it will be meeting, I guess, in the fall. You just get with Dennis and let him know if you would like to share in that group. We're also looking for some folks to share spiritual journeys that brought them to Unity. If you would like to share your experience and what your travels have been, you're welcome to talk with Ann Hudgens or talk with Julie and let her know. I did forget to ask, do we have any new people today? Hey, welcome. We're so glad. Raise your hand again. Okay, Julie is with the orangey peachy, what color is that? Shirt back there, and she'll be glad to give you a welcome packet. But we certainly do welcome you coming today, and we're glad that you're here. I think that's about it for announcements. Everything else is in the bulletin, so please make sure that you do read your bulletin. We do have a lot of things going on, and a lot more in the plans of coming up. All right, let's take just a few minutes to silence ourselves for just some centering. And let's join in together in saying the Unity opening. Our unity centers us in light and peace, allowing us to recognize our God within and to radiate that love to the world. What's the community song that we're singing?
We're going to sing a song called Weave.
Oh,
this is
Weave,
the second time
yes.
it's been requested, so we're doing it. This one's for Nina. And this one's going to feature Gerald.
It's going to feature you.
It's going to feature you. Come on, Gerald. Ready and... Actually, it's going to feature everybody. This is our sing-along. And...
Weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together. Weave us together, together in love. We are many textures, we are many colors, each one different from the other. In one great tapestry, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, together in love. We are different instruments playing our melodies, each one tuned to a different key. But we are all playing in harmony, one together, unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. A moment ago, still we did not know our unity, only diversity. Now the Christ in me greets the Christ in thee, in one great family. Weave us together, weave us together, unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. You did great. Give yourself a hand.
Good morning. Good to see so many smiling faces. I'm really happy to be able to do this reading because when I saw what Nina was going to talk about, I thought, wow, that's really what it's all about, and that is group and team and how we grow individually and how we grow together. So my reading this morning is from a book called Ponder on This. Alice A. Bailey is the teacher. She was the first writer to use the word New Age. And it's interesting because these books, there's 24 of them, and the years that she wrote them are from 1919 to 1949. But I'm telling you, everything is, nothing really changes, right? And they're very appropriate for now. Also, these were written in cooperation and guidance from Master D.K. Dewal Kwan, I think is the way you pronounce it. So, I'll go on and read. I don't know why I'm shaking. It's so weird. Thank you.
Hug from us.
Love you too. Now, just let's not shake so I can't read. All right. Okay. It says, no man can make definite and specialized progress without his brother benefiting. The benefiting take the form of, first, the increase of the total consciousness of the group, the stimulation of the units within the group, and the stimulation of units. Thank you. See? Group, team. I don't know why that's happening. Anyway, okay, hold on. Let me just breathe. You guys are all friendly.
Yeah, we love you.
Okay. So the third reason is that the group magnetism producing increased healing and blending effects upon any allied groups. The young people, and we are the young people, because when you look at the years of this, we are the young people. It says the young people who are now coming in will come into life equipped with a much deeper sense of the group, and with their group awareness much more fully developed than is now the case. The individual and the unit will slowly learn to subordinate the personal good and the personal pleasures to group conditions and group requirements. In every grouping, whether in heaven or in earth, there is always evidenced a tendency by some units in the group to revolt. Recognize yourself, to rebel, and to show some form of initiative different to those of other units within the group. The path of the disciple is a thorny one. Briars beset his every step, and difficulties meet him at every turn. Yet in the treading of the path, the overcoming of these difficulties, and in the single learned adherence in the good of the group with a proportionate, I really apologize. This is totally a physiological reaction because I don't feel at all nervous talking to you guys.
Crazy.
It is very strange. Right there. Keep reading.
Oh, okay.
I want to show, I guess I'm showing group teamwork here.
In a single-hearted adherence to the group of the good, with a proportionate attention to the individuals and their evolutionary development, comes a length, fruition, and the attainment of the goal. A server of the race stands forth.
Right.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very embarrassing, but. Perfect. Easy for you to say.
Okay, well, here's a song I was going to play bass and sing harmony on, but my husband couldn't make it, so I'm going to do the guitar, which I do know how to play. I can't tell if it's coming through or not. Is it coming? Thank you. Follow the sun, which way the wind blows, when this day is done. Breathe in the air, set your intentions, dream with care. Tomorrow's a new day for everyone. Brand new moon, brand new sun. So follow the sun, the direction of the birds, the direction of breathe in the air, cherish this moment, cherish this breath. Tomorrow's a new day for everyone. Brand new moon, brand new sun. When you feel life coming down on you like a heavy wave, when you feel this crazy society adding to the strain, take a stroll to the nearest waters and remember your place. Many moons have risen and fallen long before you came. And which way does the wind blow? And what does your heart say? So follow the sun, which way the wind blows, when
hardest day is done.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. And hi, online folks. When Anne asked me she asked for people actually in our community to share about the spiritual journey. She's still asking for that, by the way, others, and you don't have to do the whole talk either. It was a topic that spoke to me because my mother passed away about 4 months ago. Since then, I've been doing a lot of reflecting. And one of the ways that her death has affected me is that life has become more meaningful and precious. I feel things more deeply now. So preparing this talk was a welcome chance to reminisce and reflect about my spiritual path here at Unity. My childhood image of God was a man in the sky among billowing clouds who was watching and who judged me. My family was pretty involved in church during my early childhood, but my dad disassociated himself from it when I was about 8 years old. That's another story. But after that, I remembered worrying about our family going to hell because we weren't going to church. Of course, my vision is completely different now. Beginning in my 30s, I recognized that I had an empty space I was looking to fill. A longing for something I couldn't define. We attended a church for a couple of years when we were living in South Florida in the 90s. But when we moved back to Fort Collins, we didn't find a church that felt right. It was years later that I finally found Unity. My first Sunday here was in early 2005. I liked what I saw, and a friendly guy named Ken Crump welcomed me. And he invited me to a small group that was meeting the following evening. He said they would be discussing Eckhart Tolle's work, among other things. I went home and told my husband, Scott, about it. He had just finished reading The Power of Now, so he was passionate about Eckhart Tolle, and that grabbed his interest. So we both attended that Monday night group the following day, and Unity was our church home from then on. We got to know some amazing people that I grew to admire in that small group. The discussions were in-depth and inspiring and sparked my growth in new ways. In those days, Unity had kind of a reputation as being a hippie church. We prided ourselves on being non-churchy. Our spiritual leader, Lynn, was not an ordained minister, and we embraced that. It was part of what made us different than most churches. Mark Sloniker and Colleen Crossan were our music directors, and a big part of the leadership along with Lynn. Humor was a huge part of our culture. I'm going to need water. Can you grab me a water? Thank you. We regularly sang and danced the Hokey Pokey. Anyone remember that? In the sanctuary, just to be sure we weren't taking ourselves too seriously. At the end of the prayer for protection, all is well became all is swell. I think just to be silly. Mark's jokes kept us all chuckling, but he also read us poems every Sunday that stirred our souls. He was especially fond of sharing poems from Hafiz, the 14th century Persian poet, and Rumi, also a Persian poet from the 13th century. Fun fact, did you guys know that the big room on the east side of this building is named after Rumi? We call it the Rumi Room. One of my earliest memorable spiritual lessons here was from a Hafiz poem. This one has stuck with me all these years. It's called The Sun Never Says. Even after all this time, The sun never says to the earth, "You owe me." Look what happens with a love like that. It lights up the whole sky. I invite you to reflect on the enormity of that kind of love. It's possible. And here at Unity is where I got my first glimmer of that. In preparing this talk, I've enjoyed reminiscing about my early years here at Unity, and I want to share some of my favorite memories with you. Those of you who've been around a long time may enjoy these memories too. And if you're newer, I hope you'll get a better sense of where we've come from as a community since then. We had an event called the Unity Prom. It was a huge fundraising event where we rented the Sunset Event Center downtown. Everyone got dressed up to the nines with formal dresses, suits, ties, the whole bit. We danced the night away. We raised a lot of money. And we had a lot of fun. Saturday workshops with Mark and Colleen were here at Unity, and we spent our time journaling on assigned reflective topics, singing and playing instruments together. We shared a beautiful potluck lunch, and we also sang to one another in a circle, making eye contact and looking into each other's souls. We had an almost annual retreat at the Buckhorn Camp up in the mountains each September. We sang camp songs around a fire in the big lodge, accompanied by Mike O'Connell and Mike Hawes on the guitar. Those songs made me remember and rejoice at how community singing invokes the divine. I especially enjoyed the leisurely meals and hikes with Unity friends and yoga classes taught by Will Moore. Another favorite memory from the Buckhorn Camp is the group of us on a dock beside a scenic lake. We took turns reading poetry out loud that became especially meaningful in that lovely natural setting. Another memory is singer-songwriter John Smith from Wisconsin, who visited Unity every December and performed during our services. He also played at Avogadro's the evening before, and the room at Avo's would be full of Unity people enjoying his music and messages. There were lunches with Unity friends after church, usually at the Rainbow, which deepened our connections and our friendships here. Gradually, as I collected these experiences, I began to develop a permeating sense of well-being that I'd never had before. All is well became a sort of mantra for me. Saying it each Sunday at the end of the prayer for protection reinforces it for me even today. One thing that hasn't changed here is the recognition of the 5 Unity principles. They've always been recognized here. I found and still find them comforting and reassuring. My favorite is number 1. God is good and active in everything, everywhere. God being active everywhere and everything is so much better than the old judgmental man in the sky image of God from my childhood. Our spiritual leader then, Lynn Kendall, was lovable and quirky, yet spiritually connected. She was often irreverent in a reverent sort of way, and the community took her lead. She was an institution and was deeply loved. Lynn molded the goals and priorities of our community, and looking back, I can see that Unity of Fort Collins became a reflection of her personality. Along with Lynn, our music directors, Mark and Colleen, were a talented team, and the 3 of them led our Unity with similar styles. In 2011, though, Lynn announced she would be retiring. We all began to experience lots of fear and uncertainty about the future of our church home and fear of the unknown. As a way of easing my fears, I joined what we called then the transition team, search for a new spiritual leader. We quickly appointed Mark and Colleen as our interim leaders. We were pretty desperate for continuity back then. But the hiring decision was the council's to make. And Mark and Colleen were ultimately not chosen to be our next leaders. Some were shocked at this decision. Many had assumed that they were a shoo-in. They were very talented and much loved in this community. There was a lot of anger and frustration over that decision, especially among their biggest supporters. Peggy Christensen was chosen to be our next minister. The transition team concluded its work, and I was inspired to join the council after that. The aftermath of that hiring decision was difficult and heartbreaking here. Many people left. It was a tough time to be a new council member. I saw some things that caused me to be angry and judgmental of people I had previously deeply admired. Mark and Colleen stayed for a while, and they worked with Peggy, but then they abruptly resigned. Many people left with them. I felt their absence, and I still miss many of them. This was such a rude awakening to me to witness this kind of turmoil and conflict in a church. This was church? It felt apocalyptic to me at the time. I know now that all churches experience this kind of hard times at one time or another. And my lesson through all this, even though all that happened 10 years and more ago, has been forgiveness. So I want to read another Rumi poem that has stuck with me, that helped me through that time, and is very, very relevant today as well. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Peggy took the helm with grace as our new leader. Franklin Taggart was hired as the new music director. Peggy and Franklin had completely different styles than Mark and Colleen and Lynn. Peggy was very talented and very heart-centered, but so different from Lynn, and many people struggled with that. More people left, but new people came. Many of those who stayed grew to love both Peggy and Franklin. After 2 years on council, I stepped down as we made plans to move to Estes Park, which had been a long-time dream of mine. I realize now I was working, even during that time, through difficult feelings, still, about the turmoil and the way some people had reacted here. The stark contrast between leaders was difficult for me, too. We stayed in Estes Park 3.5 years and decided ultimately it wasn't a fit for us, and we returned to Fort Collins the fall of 2018. But we didn't return to Unity right away, and I know now that for me, it was because I was still working through some feelings about the chaos we had experienced after Lynn, Mark, and Colleen departed. Then Peggy announced she would be leaving, which I think was in the spring of 2018, maybe. So that delayed my return to Unity because I was still afraid to face that kind of turmoil that had happened before. But now I know from talking to many of you about that time that it was special here. Franklin stepped up to moderate and coordinate speakers. People in this community took turns giving talks, just like now, along with other guest speakers. This community came together and held space, co-created, and shared our collective wisdom. I understand now that this is when Unity of Fort Collins turned a corner. The community began to knit itself together. The people who stayed after Peggy left were committed to the community itself and not attached as much to who was the new leader. The community worked together during this time to create a new vision and mission statement and voted to formally rejoin Unity Worldwide Ministries, UWM. There had been some resistance to joining UWM in the past. I think because many in this community were afraid of being put into a box and having too many rules. But that has turned out to be a very good decision for this community, and those fears turned out to be unfounded. About a year ago, I attended, along with other Unity Council members, a half-day training put on by a representative from UWM. One of my main takeaways from that training was that there's a new paradigm for church growth and development, and it involves a shift away from the minister-centric model and toward a community-centric model of ministry, which is much more sustainable. This is what has been happening here at Unity of Fort Collins, which is a very good thing. Going back to the chronological events, Liz Uwm was chosen to be our next minister here in late 2019. Liz started in January of 2020, and as we all know, the pandemic hit shortly thereafter, which changed everything. We were fortunate to have Liz's leadership during that difficult time, and she successfully got us through it. However, there were many people here that didn't agree with her approach on things, so once again, times were turbulent, even to the point where the entire council and staff resigned in July of 2020. In addition to the challenges of the pandemic, I know this was rough for many people, and it's amazing we got through it as well as we did. This time, I was removed from most of the turmoil, mostly because of the pandemic. We hadn't gotten involved yet that much again. But eventually I jumped back in and got involved here in the fall of 2020 when there was a need for office volunteers. Shortly after I started volunteering in the office, Liz asked me to join the council when there was an opening. I had to think about it very hard that time, but now I'm so glad I agreed to serve again. A year later, when I learned that Liz and her wife Divine, who by then we had hired as a co-minister, had made the decision to leave, my first reaction was fear. I wondered how our community could survive another big change. Would there be more turmoil? But that fear didn't last long because I quickly realized how resilient and dedicated this community is. We took the reins. We redefined ourselves. We brought back rituals and practices that were lost during the pandemic and that people had missed. We refined our bylaws, which hadn't served us well in the past. We gratefully accepted help from UWM in many different areas. The last 7 months have been a great big spiritual lesson. I have learned without a doubt that this community does not exist because of who the minister or spiritual leader is. It is about the people who call this their church home, who step up to volunteer, who are committed to connecting and growing here. We also have an amazing team of council members. Anne is a wonderful president who has stepped up to lead us with so much heart. Elle and her music team are doing such a great job with their talented performances. Stacy and the YFM team are creating an inspiring, safe, and nurturing place for our kids. Julie, our office administrator, holds us together with her reliable and conscientious work. This is not to minimize what Jim and Sharon have done here. They have showed up at the perfect time to teach us the perfect lesson, and we are so fortunate to have them as our interim ministers. They are teaching us to lead ourselves with their great wisdom and experience. They don't want to be the boss of anything, but instead the wind beneath our wings. This type of leadership is proving to work very well for Unity of Fort Collins. The people in this community rail against being told what to do. We co-create here, which is, as I said, a much healthier model. I also want to recognize our search team. Claire Marshall, Robert Hudgens, Leanne Gable, Dale Pettigrew, and Ellen McQueen. This is a dedicated group of individuals that have put a lot of effort toward finding our next permanent leader. And they've done an outstanding job. Thank you. But I want to point out what is also happening now. We are without a permanent minister, but it does not feel unstable or tentative in any way. We have freedom right now to explore what works best for us. We are blossoming and redefining ourselves in every way. There are many possibilities of what could happen next. Some think and hope that we will find a perfect new full-time minister. Others are rooting for us to hire Jim and Sharon permanently. Some feel we should be on the lookout for an associate minister to serve alongside Sharon and Jim. But there's a national labor shortage that includes ministers, and we haven't had any applicants yet. It will probably take some time to make a permanent decision. And in the meantime, we are thriving. I'm okay with not knowing, and I hope you are too. It's all going to unfold in the perfect order. I'm honored to serve on your Unity Council. I watch in amazement as people I admire dedicate themselves and work their hearts out for the success of this community. It's such a privilege to witness what happens behind the scenes here. Look what was accomplished in the last month with our new sound booth construction. Gerald told me that he estimates 500 volunteer hours went into the construction of this booth within a month's period of time. That's amazing. The donors that also made that possible are amazing. For our recent Spring Celebration fundraiser event, we had more than 25 enthusiastic volunteers sign up to help. That's a lot of commitment and enthusiasm. I appreciate that. Being part of the team that runs this church is love in motion. It's a spiritual lesson in itself. And the rewards of being part of the team here are huge. I bask in these relationships, the connection, and the grace and joy of doing this work. I found a quote by Jonathan Winters that I thought summed up well what's been going on here. If your ship doesn't come in, swim out to meet it. I think that's what we've done here. We've persevered. We've refused to give up through lots of different changes. I'd like to extend an invitation to those of you who aren't already doing so to get involved here. Step up and volunteer. You'll experience the joy of teamwork and co-creation. There's magic in putting your heart, soul, and hands into running this community. My soul is fed from my service here and the lessons that are part of it. As far as the future of Unity of Fort Collins, I think it's very bright. Some churches are dwindling, even dissolving after the pandemic, but not us. We are very fortunate to have a building that we own free and clear. We are growing. Attendance is up. I believe that our philosophy of being spiritual, not religious, is key. That philosophy is a trend in this country today, and a lot of people are looking for a church like this. The demand for online services is huge, and we have improved them so much. We started piecemeal at the beginning of the pandemic in what we thought was a temporary setup with cheap equipment, and now we have a completely professional sound booth and all kinds of improvements with the equipment. It's amazing. I see a tapestry of love happening here, just like the song we sang at the beginning of service. And I'm so happy to be a part of it. Thank you.
our prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is everywhere. And every thought's indeed a prayer.
I'm going to lead our meditation today. I invite you to visualize the many volunteers that create and maintain this sacred space. From gardening to carpentry to helping with our kids, greeting folks at the door, making coffee, facilitating a class, or coordinating an event. There are many hands and hearts full of dedication and love for our community. Beautiful souls are all around this place, making magic. Let's bless them, feel gratitude, and bask in the wonder that we've created here together.
May the blessings of God rest upon me. May God's peace abide in me. May God's presence illuminate my heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon us. May God's peace abide in us. May God's presence illuminate our heart now and forevermore. Now and forevermore. Now and forevermore.
Would come forth. It's now time to have the opportunity to give as we receive in this amazing community, as Nina was talking about this morning. Let's say together the blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh why can't I?
I heard you singing.
All right, so let's sing the kids in.
All right.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, yeah, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Well, here at the corner of Lions and Vine, I'm gonna let it shine. Here at the corner of Lions and Vine, I'm gonna let it shine. Here at the corner of Lions and Vine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
So I didn't think there were going to be any kids today. Denise and I met with Sharon, and we have a new way of doing this that you're about to see. But today we talked about, right now things are really crazy in the news, and all the kids are seeing it. And we talked about creating safe places for ourselves and safe activities. And so, you guys ready? You can show your signs. This is what they did.
Woo! All right, thank you. All right, everybody, let's gather in a circle for the prayer protection. Oh, the birthdays. Hi, sweetie.
Is this a birthday? Yeah.
It's birthday Sunday.
All right.
That doesn't mean it's my birthday.
No.
Does anyone have a birthday this month? The month of June. It's the second Sunday in the week. Come on up here. Just get up here. Oh, Amy. Oh, there you are. Woo! Well, first of all, would you please say your name and the number of the day that you were born?
I'm Kaya, and I was born June 20th.
Kaya, June 20th. Yes. Woo! Amy, June 21st.
And I'm Julie, June 16th.
Woo. Julie, June 16th. Now, we're going to sing Happy Birthday to you. Are you ready?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear beloveds. Happy birthday to you.
All right, and as we head for our closing and we form our circle, I think, Nancy, you'll have one more thing to say up here. You'll lead us in our unity blessing. But we have one more need for the sound booth back there. We have all this new stuff and nowhere to put it. We could use a 2-drawer file cabinet or a short 3-drawer chest or something like that. So if anybody has one laying around, let me know. Thanks.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The presence of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now we can circle.